You know what that means, right? Welcome, by the way. 5. This is now the official number of times that I've the COVID-19. Just got over it this week, had it again. It has been ridiculous. So I think in military warfare, I'm considered an ace at the COVID-19 at this point. Yes, there is a difference between the flu and the COVID-19. Let me tell you, son. They're similar in many ways, but it's a different beast. If you have ever had it, you know what I'm saying. So, I've been sleeping most of the week. Actually, one of our kids had the COVID-19. I think I posted this on Patreon several days back. And, you gotta take care of your kiddos. And, of course, wearing a mask, going into the room, sanitizing hands, it don't matter. Still got it again, so, it is what it is. Um How's everybody doing? I don't even remember the last time we were on here to meet. Gloria, thank you for that, for being worried about me. Yeah, I've just been down with the COVID. Um, Again, it's totally different. The flu, I get sick in my stomach. The COVID, I really don't. It's hard to explain, like major headaches, mass dehydration, and all I want to do is sleep. You know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling a lot better. My wife had it as well. Um, She caught hers early, and I don't know the name of the drug. It's some kind of antiviral drug. They were able to give her that. It's supposed to lessen the effects, so she got better before I did. Me, they basically I waited too long to go, and they basically said, "Hey, just hydrate and ride it out and take Tylenol." So, it is what it is. I've missed man, there's so much that has happened in the news cycles and stuff, and we'll get into all that crap and all the stuff that's going on in our crazy world, but there's just so much that has happened. Maybe that's what it was, Stefel. I don't know. I'm to be honest with you, I don't know because I wasn't privileged enough to get it or whatever. Don't tread on me. Thank you very much. Texas, brother. Texas love. I appreciate that. Um, and again, like it's chilly outside, it's raining. So I've got a hoodie on, but at the same time, you sweat weird with the COVID. I don't know how to explain it. At least that's how it affects me. So several people have left comments other than, "Hey, where you at, son? Where you at?" I've noticed they've been asking. They want to know about the debate, and I planned to cover that again last week. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It seems like distant history at this point. I mean, so much other stuff has happened. So what I'm gonna do with the debate, I think it was a draw, by the way. I think Trump's got roped into saying a couple of things that were really dumb, and it put him on defense for the entire night, when he should have just beat the crap out of her debate-wise. Um, but it is what it is. I'm gonna take the debate, and I'm going to take their platforms, what they're actually telling people, and I'm going to present 2 Christmas movies. I know that sounds weird, but y'all stick with me on that. Jim, appreciate that. Hegwood, glad you're better. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm an ace now, man. 5 times. Phew. First time almost killed me, but yeah. So Kamala Harris, whether you're talking about the debate or whether you're talking about her speaking to her rally goers or whatever they're called, we're gonna go with the Polar Express, and I know I'm not trying to be clever. You can make a joke out of that with Kamala Harris and Heels Up and Polar Express. I get it. But I'm talking about the Christmas movie, right? No, Force. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Bruce Willis literally said this. Um, Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. So, in the Polar Express, at least the last time I watched it, unless I dreamed it again, I ain't been feeling well. They got these little magic bells that don't actually ring unless you believe hard enough. Michael, thank you very much. Get well soon, son. Hopefully, I am well, and hopefully, this stuff stays away. The problem is, Michael, um, my kids are different ages to the point where they're in different schools, and then my wife works in a third school, so I'm exposed to the germs from 3 different schools, 24/7. Cobra, how dare you? Y'all are arguing not with me, but with Bruce freaking Willis. Um, these bells, they don't actually ring. And the point of Polar Express and the point what Kamala Harris is saying to her supporters, Miss Harris, how are we going to fix the economy? You just ring this. You just ring it, and you got to believe that it'll fix itself. I don't hear any ringing. Well, you got to believe harder. Just keep believing. Keep believing. How are we going to fix the border? She's shaking this imaginary bell. And some of her supporters actually are gaslit to the point where they hear it ringing. And they think, hey, the border's going to fix itself. And they think the economy's going to fix itself. Crime's going to fix itself. All we got to do is keep ringing and believing. Trump, the debate, the platform, the Grinch. He didn't steal Christmas. This isn't on him. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who are absolutely still tied at the hip. She's trying to get away from all the stuff that they've done. But no. She's been with Joe Biden for the last 3.5 years. Don't let her loose on that. He didn't steal Christmas, they did, but he's being honest. He's telling his supporters, look, son, Santa's not coming this year. If you want something under the tree, you're going to have to put it under there yourself. Right? You're going to have to do something about these things. He's pointing out the issues that we have. Kamala Harris is pretending like we don't have the issues. Except Obamacare, during the debate, she basically admitted it was a disaster, and then she threw it in Trump's lap. She said, well, you don't even have a plan to fix Obamacare. It's Obamacare. It's not Trump care. He didn't create the mess, right? But somehow it's his job to come in and fix it. Master Blaster. Thank you. So it is what it is on that. I mean, that's how I looked at the debates. I think for the most part it was an even draw. I think Trump probably won the debates. I know it's a hot take. Most people think he lost, but I think during the closing statements, he won the debate because she, like Bob Ross, she's out here painting this perfect America. That if I'm in the White House, it's going to look like this. And his closing statement was basically, why haven't you done it? You've been in the White House for 3.5 years. Joe Biden doesn't know what's going on. You can get him to sign off on anything. He can literally sign one piece of paper, an executive order that declares a national emergency at our border, and we can slap the border shut. We can do that. And we can put enough National Guard down there to make sure it sticks. For 3.5 years, they haven't done anything. So, he basically called her out for being the fraud that she was. And for that, I think he won the debate, but he should have won it handedly. You know what I'm saying? We'll get into a few of the statements that he made, but I mean, again, so much has happened. They came after Trump again. Now, I don't want to say I don't want to say, because I mean, it could have been the deep state behind it. I've seen where both were in BlackRock commercials. What are the odds? But I don't want to speculate on that. Ramon, I appreciate that very much. Hello, John. Nice to see you, son. Appreciate it. Good morning to you. I don't want to speculate on that, but whether it's coordinated at a higher level, whether it's the CIA, to be honest with you, or whether it's just lunatic after lunatic, they came after him again, and we need to understand something. It's going to continue to happen, and they're talking about now. He was given a speech somewhere, and a bunch of people got sick. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much. Something radiation poisoning or something. So they're going to continue to come after him. But we need to understand they're going to come after. If they can't get him, they're coming after Trump supporters. You know what I mean? So please be wary of that. I'm not telling you not to wear your Trump stuff out, but understand if you do, you need to have your head on a swivel. J954, thank you. Now that I have a machine gun, ho ho ho, Christmas party, never forget, 100% Christmas movie. Y'all kidding me? Um, no, Patrick Swayze in Red Dawn was fantastic, and a very underrated movie that I just seen by him before I got to COVID. It's been like a week and a half. Black Dog. I'd never seen it. It's free if you got Roku. Free with ads. I don't want to trigger anybody. So understand they'll come after you. Um, there are plenty of Trump signs in people's yards where I'm at. There are a couple. I've only seen two in my entire county. Harris signs. And I don't know why. I don't pretend to know why, but whatever. But I've seen plenty of Trump flags and things like this. These people are not well. I'm talking about the extreme left. The people, y'all know who I'm talking about. The people that cried on election night, the people that are going to be stomping out in the streets if Trump wins. These people are not well in the head, and they will. They can't get to Trump, so they're going to get to somebody that supports Trump. You're the connection to Trump in their minds. I'm not saying they're all crazy. Not all Democrats are crazy. Not all Republicans are, you know, off the deep end conspiracy theorists or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But there are some people out there that are delusional. Um, let me see here. Prepping artist, Kelly Rambo, how are y'all doing? We're getting there. We're getting there. Look, it depends on the outcome. It really depends on the outcome. That's an excellent question. That'd be a good topic for you and Rambo, honestly, because that's something that people I think are thinking about. But yeah, we're getting there. I promise you. Great minds think alike. So just understand they'll come after you. Um, actually, we're here. So there are three scenarios on election night. Okay, election night and following after. Three scenarios, only three ways that election can play out other than to postpone the election. If they postpone the election, all of the American people need to get riled up, both sides, because that's not cool. But I don't think they will. I think there will be some semblance of an election. So scenario number one, the election looks fishy, which it already does. I seen this morning again. I haven't really had time to dig into it, but they caught Iran hacking into the Trump campaign and trying to pass the information to Kamala Harris and company. I don't know if Kamala Harris and company have actually seen, the stuff that was hacked, but you've already got one international player digging into the election, and I'm sure they're not the only one, if I'm being honest. You've probably got international players on both sides digging in. Iran just got caught, right? So if the election looks fishy, Helen, good to see you. And also CBD Farmers of America, good to see you. Um, if you've got a bunch of people that should not even be here and they're allowed to vote, right? And this is put on TV and this is put on social media. Social media, I hate for the most part, but you can go on social media and they report a lot of things that mainstream media just will not report, right? And you can go and you can see videos. I remember last time people were posting, it was Twitter back then. It's still Twitter in my heart. They were posting videos of people hitting Trump and watching it toggle back to Biden. And then they would hit Trump again. Like it would not let them select Trump. And they would have to get an election official over there. And I wonder how many people just hit it and didn't pay attention. So if something looks fishy, that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, and we've got to come to grips with this. And I don't want this to happen. I don't even want to really talk about it that much, but it is a possibility that Kamala Harris wins outright. She's up in every major poll, even according to the conservative news like Fox and company. She's not up by much. It's a margin of error, but she is up. She is way above where Joe Biden was when they were polling head to head. We have to come to terms with the fact that the conservatives in this country, we're the older crowd, right? There are less of us than there were 4 years ago. The natural circle of life, right? And the younger crowd is replacing us. So conservatives are they're being shaved off. You know what I mean? Because of life expectancy, and the younger crowd, they are mostly socialist. I mean, you've got some young conservatives as well, but we've got to come to terms with the fact that there's always how do you prepare for socialism? Romans, will talk about that toward the end, okay? Because I saw you asking about that right before we went live. So remind me, y'all, please. So Kamala could win this thing outright. There could be no evidence of anything fishy. It could just be that she barely beats him. Um, then what happens? That's my question at that point. Full-blown socialism probably, which is what we'll talk about um toward the end. And finally, to Kelly and Rambo's question, the third scenario is Trump wins. So if Trump wins, I think some voters that are going to be voting for Trump think if he wins, it's going to be glorious and people are going to be playing harps out in the streets and stuff like this. It's the outcome that I want for sure. But number one, economically, it's gonna take a couple of years for him to get us back on decent footing. You know what I mean? And it's not his fault, you know? Like he said during the debate, I handed I created, which he did, one of the greatest economies in American history. And Kamala Harris said, "You handed us one of the worst economies in history," but she forgot all about the pandemic and all of this. Like, that wasn't his fault, you know what I'm saying? So he knows how to create a great economy. That's the thing, we don't need another debate. People keep saying, he's scared to do another debate. We don't need to see it. We can judge these two by their bodies of work. She's got 3.5 years in the White House. We can take a look at what she's done and what she stands for. We can take a look at his time in the White House, what he accomplished, what he stands for. We know Trump can rebuild the economy, but there's so much damage been done. It's going to take a while. But immediately after that news breaks on TV, where they said projected winner Donald Trump, you will see riots out in the streets, Kelly and Rambo. You will see it immediately after that is announced. These people are going to go insane um, if they think Trump is coming back. Uh, J954, thank you. Kamala is not up state to state. Overall, yes, she's up because of Cali and New York. If you go by individual states, she loses badly. I understand, and I don't trust the polls all that much, but I'm saying, um, not only that, but battleground states. I'm in one. Battleground states. I think Trump is barely winning here, they're saying right now. And that's because every rural county in this state is heavily, heavily red. But then when you get in, it's the same situation, I guess, like California or something. When you start to get into the cities, they're blue. They are dark blue. And the battleground states, that's the issue. So we'll see. But I mean, again, even if Trump wins, you're going to have communists and socialists and the flip floppers, right? But these people will march for anything. I mean, seriously, free hot dogs. They'll go march, they'll go ride or whatever. They don't need much inspiration. But when they see that hit social media or their television, projected winner Donald J. Trump, this will inspire them to riot long term. And how do you deal with that? You know what I mean? The chaos that follows, because a lot of this is going to take place in cities that last time just allowed it to happen. You know what I mean? And So the cities again, I mean, I don't trust a city like Seattle to step in and be hard nosed all of a sudden. I don't expect Los Angeles to be hard nosed all of a sudden. So you have months of this rioting taking place potentially before Trump even gets into the White House. And then if it's still going on, I think he's going to deploy the National Guard and things may actually get worse from there before they get better. You know what I mean? You're talking about cities under martial law, cities under lockdowns, curfews, things like this. Um, as he tries to get the nation just to relax. You know what I mean? Because folks, we're a powder keg. Y'all know this. All right. So pagers in Lebanon. Um, pagers in Lebanon. I must. Again, I've been away from the internet pretty much all week. I've been sick. Fight, fight through the C-19 again for the fifth time. But I got on this morning. I'm scrolling through. I'm trying to catch up. I didn't watch any of the videos, but I'm catching up. What are people talking about the last couple of days? A lot of the bigger creators, much bigger than me, they were talking about pagers in Lebanon blowing up, phones in Lebanon blowing up. People all throughout their comment section, hey, will my generator blow up? Will my phone blow up? How do I avoid this? Number one, don't be a terrorist and don't be in Lebanon. All right. So if you've got those two boxes checked, that's great. Number two, um, I don't think your stuff is going to blow up. But the issue is this, okay? Israel has not claimed responsibility, but it's pretty safe bet that they're behind this, right? Because they're at war, right? So they've given a blueprint to all of these other nations. And I'm kind of side-eyeing over here to China. Because where do we get all of our stuff from? Right? China's looking at this and they're saying, man, we could really do some damage to the United States if we wanted to. Um, all of our computers, virtually all of our computers, all of our electronics come from China. That's the beginning of the supply chain for us. So in the future, yeah, you buy a phone a year and a half down the road, the potential exists that these things are set up to do that. If you buy a generator or something and it's made in China, the potential exists a year and a half or TV or whatever. I think if you already have the stuff, no, but they handed a playbook to China to use against enemies because so much stuff comes from China. Steph L, thank you very much. Um, appreciate any prayers out there for my oldest son, Scott. He was sent back to Bragg. He was deployed from Bragg Monday. He wasn't supposed to be deployed again. I'm very sorry to hear it. 23 active duty. Mom's done. Very sorry to hear that. We'll be praying. Um, this is the problem with, and I'm sure you know this. This is a problem with weak leadership. And this is the problem with a president walking around in the White House with a crayon right now, coloring on the walls because nobody respects us. Nobody looks at the United States right now and says strong, strength, and say what you will about Trump, but he would light you up. You can go back and ask Syria. He didn't play when it came to stuff like that. And because of that, people kind of backed off and we didn't have the issues internationally that we do now. Um, he was supposed to retire next year. Wow. Steph L. Um, man, very sorry to hear that. Um, hopefully he gets deployed to a fairly safe area, fairly safe job, and is able to retire. But I just getting to this actually, um, you know, pagers in Lebanon and stuff like that. While everybody was talking about that yesterday, Russia put in an order for another 180,000 troops. Um, you know, because they don't have a recruitment problem right now. They're not having to force people. People are still lining up. They're not using conscripts, right? So this is going to bring them to a total of 1.5 million active duty soldiers. This is going to put them second only to China. As far as active duty goes, they're also investing, and this is very telling because I don't think this has to do with Ukraine. Okay. I think something much bigger is coming. Here's why they're investing a lot of money, more so than they usually do, in their army, but they're investing a lot all of the sudden into their navy. And I don't know why that comes into play with Ukraine. I do think that something large scale is on the way that Russia knows about for them to be investing um, in the Navy. So, bringing us to an incident that also happened yesterday. China sent one of their aircraft carriers through Japanese waters for no rhyme or reason, just because they can and just because they wanted to provoke the Japanese. That's what it seems like on the surface. How can we piss the Japanese off? Let's send an aircraft carrier through there. Um, J954 survival tabs, H2O ammo, stack it to the rafters. Survival tabs are good. I don't know if I would stack those to the rafters, but they are good. They're good at keeping your car and stuff like that. Um, well, Pee Wee Shermanator, enlighten us. Trump is literally the deep state. Do your research. If you're going to come in here and you're going to make a statement like that, bring the research. Do everybody a favor. Instead of just spamming the same comment, drop the research. You're welcome to do so, you know? But if the research is, trust me, bro, I'm not interested. Um, so anyway, here's what's really going on. And this kind of ties into Russia upgrading their navy and putting in such a large order, for troops and upgrading their military, okay, their army in general. When you are planning an invasion or some sort of an attack, all right, you have the what's called the initiative. You know when you're going to strike, you know what time you're going to strike, you know where you're going to strike. The one thing that you need to know before this takes place is you need to know what the response is going to be. And I think this is Russia does this as well. Okay, Russia sometimes, I know y'all seen this in the past. Russia, oh, they're flying next to the Alaskan coast. They're in international airspace, but they're really close to the United States, and we have to escort them until they leave. The Chinese are doing the same thing here. All right. So I'm talking about an invasion, militarily speaking. Wisdom over fear. I get that we've been invaded through the border. That ain't no joke. You're dead on that one. But I'm talking about from a military standpoint. So if you're going to invade a country, you want to know what the response time is going to be and what they are going to respond with. So they sent an aircraft carrier and they're looking for how long are we going to be in Japanese waters before ships show up? What kind of ships are going to show up? And this is going to play into the invasion strategy, okay? Um, I believe because I believe honestly, and it's probably going to kick off wide scale in Europe as well if we see a third world war. But I think the entire region where Taiwan is situated is in serious trouble. All right. And I think Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea have been prepping for this. I think Taiwan is in trouble. I think the Philippines are in trouble. They're constantly being harassed by the Chinese, and I think Japan's in trouble. Now, Japan may be able to hold its own for a while. The other two, I don't think so. Um, Taiwan's not a very large island. And if it were me, if I were the Chinese, I'm using ballistic missiles to take out as much Navy power as I can and as many aircraft as I can, and then I'm going to launch the invasion. The Philippines, the United States that I'm aware of, we don't have a large presence there. I mean, I'm sure we have some troops there, but not like we have had in the past. The Philippines, they're relying on us to protect them. Same with Taiwan. They're relying on us to protect them. And we just don't have the troop strength. We don't have the numbers that China has. We don't have the numbers, or we won't, that Russia will have once this is complete. And again, Japan, they're naval power, but the whole region is in trouble. And it's being done, I think, because of the resources. A lot of the very, very rare minerals that we need for computer opponents and electronics and things um, come from that region, specifically Taiwan. So China's not just going to let them break loose and go. Um, Taiwan exists. It's complicated, but China had its civil war. The right wing basically fled to Taiwan, and China's not just going to let them go away. You know what I mean? There's a long-standing history there, and they're not going to let them go away and give those valuable resources to the United States, right? Plus, you get into the uh, passage rights, and the waterways and things like that, and China's only going to bend so far. And I really do think that between China and between Russia, they're testing response times and what aircraft is the United States responding with in the Alaska. If we're flying a bomber very close to the coast of Alaska, how long does it take, for our aircraft to get there? What are we responding with? So Zelensky, any fans of Zelensky in the house? He is set to propose or present a plan to the United States to end the war in Europe. He says he has a surefire way to end the war in Europe. He's going to present a formal plan to Joe Biden and his I guess his military advisors or whatever. At which point he's also going to ask for the ability to use long-range missiles, which has long been a line in the sand for Russia, and more money because the funding is running out. The Pentagon doesn't have any more money to give them. There's spending tied up right now in Congress, and time them out. There you go. Get him, Kelly. I have a friend here locally. I'm not sure. Bama Jen was in here earlier. I'm not sure. I have a friend here locally that sums up Zelensky better than almost like a poet. I cannot put it any better myself. Um, he said, what's your thoughts on Zelensky? And he said, when you pull into a store, like in a shopping center, and you're going into the store, and somebody, comes up to you and says, "Hey, buddy, can I borrow a cigarette?" And you give this guy a cigarette or whatever. I don't smoke them, but whatever. And then every time you're in that shopping center, even if you're 6 or 7 stores down, this dude is like, T-1000 from the Terminator. He's scanning the parking lot. If he sees you and he recognizes you and he knows, hey, this person gave me a cigarette last time, this dude is striding across the parking lot to get that next cigarette from you. I mean, it's every time they're asking for cigarettes. Hey, buddy. Hey, can I get a cigarette? Can I get it? This is Zelensky. I'm not saying anything negative about the people in Ukraine that are innocent and have nothing to do with this war. It's not like I hate Ukraine or the Ukrainian people. Historically, they're tough. They were very tough during World War II. But there comes a point in time when you got to call a spade a spade. Zelensky is not even technically the president anymore. His term is over. It's been over for months. He is still technically, in a roundabout way, because they're at war, he has declared himself, hey, six shooter, what's going on, brother? Zelensky is saying, hey, because we're at war, I'm still the president. They've not had an election like they're supposed to have. I've seen several videos. Again, X is a great place to see this stuff, where they are snatching fighting age men off the street in vans and forcing them, conscripting them. I mean, it's just it's at some point it's lunacy. When you think about all the money that's been dumped into this war effort, the fact that the Russians control so much of Ukraine right now in the east, the fact that they are marching across Ukraine pretty much at will at this point, and that they're loading up for a different war. You know what I mean? Like they're using their second-rate stuff in Ukraine for the most part now. The Russians are. And Zelensky has some sort of plan, and he's going to come back to us, present this plan, and ask for, another 50 billion or whatever. At some point, you got to cut the cigarette bum off. You got to tell him, buddy, if you can't afford your cigarettes, you need to stop smoking. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what this plan looks like. I don't know how he thinks this war is winnable. Um, because Putin is a warlord. Let's call a spade, okay? Putin's a warlord. And if Zelensky really did have a plan to win this war, he will glass Ukraine. He does not care. This dude is not bluffing when it comes to nukes. I think it's a last resort. But I think if he feels like Russia's in trouble and they're going to lose their country, he will start glassing countries around him. And NATO needs to understand this, because he has said outright, and they have more nukes than any other country in the world, okay? And he has said outright, if the United States or any other country gives them permission to use long-range ballistic missiles to hit us, like in Moscow, we are going to consider the United States, for example, a direct combatant, and we're going to hit back. They NATO needs to take this seriously, because they're going to get wrapped up into a war that we don't need, that we cannot afford, and for what? For a guy that's not even that's pretending to be the president. Have an election. Maybe somebody beats Zelensky fair and square in an election. Maybe the new president has a plan for peace and can sit down and talk to Putin and just come to terms. You know what I'm saying? And prevent World War III. Maybe just have an election, Ukraine. Let's try that. I got to bring this up because this is one of the statements that Trump made during the debate. And when I heard this statement, my son watched the debate with me. It's the first one he's ever watched. He had to watch it for school. He busted out laughing. The dogs and the cats, y'all, they're eating them. When, when he put this statement out there, and I get what Trump is saying, and I've seen not just video footage, but local news footage of this stuff happening, in Springfield and everything. So I'm not discrediting what he said. But I'm like, why would you bring this up at a national debate on a national stage? And just the moment he said, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, Kamala Harris had him by the scrotum. He was totally defensive after that, because then she was able to pivot totally off of all of the stuff that she hasn't done. And she was able to look at the American people and say, this is the kind of stuff that you can expect, erratic stuff that you can expect from Donald Trump. You're going to hear stuff like this all night. And I'm like, why would you make a statement like this? And it's gotten so bad that there are songs on YouTube. You can pull them up. They're hilarious, by the way. Have y'all seen that Vibe Cat? Do y'all know who Vibe Cat is? Where he's doing this right here? He's in some of the videos. People are just laughing at this statement. And again, I'm not saying it's not happening. I get Mockingjay, I get that. He was bringing attention to the illegal invasion, but he could have done it in a more broad way. The problem is he's too specific here because he's talking about one little bitty area in the United States, but the entire United States was watching the debate. So the other 49 states is like, what is he talking about? This dude has done lost his marbles, right? The people in Springfield that are supposed to be there, they're cheering for this. They're like, finally, somebody sees what's going on. But the rest of the country is like, what? But anyway, there are songs online. Pull them up on YouTube and stuff. They're hilarious. J954, thank you. Send 50,000 Haitians to Russia. I didn't know that many Haitians were here, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, who knows who's here at this point? So somebody had asked, how do we prepare for socialism? Yeah, Denise Harris, I'm sure they're in every state, but apparently they're highly concentrated in Springfield, Ohio, and I had no idea. I don't know what the appeal is there or whatever. But how do we deal with socialism? How do we prepare for that? Well, both good and bad. Yeah, the media definitely won't expose it. But I mean, this is something that he could have done on social media, Mockingjay. You know what I mean? He could have just reposted a video because I've seen the videos. Again, cats and dogs are being snatched up off people's porches. It's actually happening. I've seen the local news trying to cover it. He could have just reposted one of the local news deals rather than standing on a national debate stage and putting it the way that he did. Um, yeah, I don't know. He just handed her the keys to the rest of the debate until the closing arguments, I think at least. Well, good news and bad news on the socialism. So, um, yeah, he should have explained it better, at least, Romans. The government has been preparing us for this switch over to socialism. So you've already been preparing for it and you just don't know. Maybe you didn't realize that. We have so many socialism programs here in the United States right now that we're teetering on being a socialist country. Um, in my opinion, this comes from the first Great Depression when the bankers crashed everything the first time and um, they realized, oh, we screwed the pooch, so to speak. Not to trigger any Haitians out there. but, but anyway, they said, how are we going to dig ourselves out of that? And the president at that time, he said, hey, we'll set up these government funded programs that are going to put people back to work and they're going to build stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it seemed like a great idea at the time, but what it did is it opened up this huge rabbit hole where every time the government has needed something, they always default to a socialist program. So public schools at their core, they're a socialist program, right? Um, at least having it at a national level. Before I think it was Carter that created, I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I think it was Jimmy Carter that started like the whole, what is it? The school association or whatever. We were number one in education when that started. And I think we're 22nd or 23rd now. globally in education. These programs, they just don't work. Go into a DMV and see how a DMV operates. There's nothing like it. You go and you sit for 2.5 or 3 hours to go to a booth and pay for a couple of stickers, which are basically a tax. Yeah, David, I've been down all week with the COVID, brother, to be honest with you. Uh, it is what it is. Any government building that you go into that is there to help you, right? Pay attention to how miserable of an atmosphere it is. And then you look at the socialist programs that we have now where the government pays out for this or pays out for this. I'm not talking about if you've paid in your entire life and they owe you a retirement. Nothing like that. But everything else that is a socialist program, it has bankrupted the country. Take a look at our wealth from the Great Depression, digging ourselves out to where we're at right now. It has been this and endless wars have bankrupted the United States. And it seems like our government is, I know for a fact, if Kamala Harris becomes president, we're going to be a socialist country. Welfare, food stamps, etc. Right, Thistle Moon. Because they are not being used the way they were established, right? They're just not. The welfare and the food stamps and stuff like this, they're supposed to be a short term. You want to talk about a soft landing? That's what this is. Short term, 3 month, maybe 6 month, and you bounce back and you're back in the workforce. But we've got people out here that put 20, 25 years into the career of welfare. Um, well, thank you, Karen. I look good. Yeah, baby. I'm just ugly, y'all. I'm ugly, and I'm getting over COVID. It doesn't bother me. I don't mind telling people that that I'm getting over COVID because again, after 5 times of having it, you're an ace. And at some point, I ain't had the shots or anything like that. It's my immune system gets over it now. Again, the first time it almost killed me, but it is what it is. Um, Remember, disabled people need welfare. I do, and I understand there is a need for it. We should take care of our truly disabled people. But again, that's another program that gets abused. There are a lot of people that are disabled who then turn around and work a side job under the table and they don't pay taxes. Like there's so much fraud involved with socialism, and then the problem with socialism is the only default from there is communism. You can't it's almost impossible to go from socialism back to capitalism, right? So you've gotten people dependent on the government, you've gotten the people some of them again deserving, but a lot of them just lazy, a lot of them just having babies so they don't have to go into the workforce. They don't even know who the dad is. The government will take care of them at this point. You know what I'm saying? And when it runs aground, when the money runs out, and the money has run out, they're just printing more at this point and throwing numbers on screens and stuff like this and allowing people to live on credit. The next step exactly, Carrie, is communism because you need a workforce. It doesn't work. Society will not function if you don't have a workforce. And this is what the young people that are fans of socialism don't understand. Once you go back to communism, it's you're going back into the workforce. You're just going to do it with a rifle in your face. You have no choice at this point. You're going to eat whatever they hand you in a box every week, and it's not where we want to be. We don't want to be a communist country. But unfortunately, some people are just not educated on this. They think socialism and communism is the newest thing, man, the newest trend, especially a lot of the younger people and stuff. They're really getting onto, and It's a system designed by Karl Marx. It's a system that is designed to prey on young people for this very reason. And I'll just tell y'all a little bit about Karl Marx, since he's like their hero or whatever, right before we get off here, okay? Karl Marx, they will tell you he created the perfect communal system to live. What was his actual job? Does anybody know? Extra credit if you do. I'm just checking the chat. Kind of a trick question though. Yeah, pure blood, man. Even if I got to fight through it 10 times, which I might. They're saying that COVID's going to be hanging around till after Christmas. Author, well, okay, yeah, he was an author, but beyond that, Triple T Tony, that's pretty close. He didn't have a job other than author that I'm aware of. He lived and survived off of his best friend's dad's income. This hero that these young people are, they're holding so high. He was exactly who said that? Valerie Ann. He was a professional moocher. That's literally what he did. He wrote books on how to create the greatest economy in the world and mooched. This is their hero. You know, tell me you don't know how an economy is supposed to work without telling me you don't know. Like this dude is mooching off of his best friend's dad income in trying to tell the rest of the world how they should live and how they should manage their money. And there's so many suckers out here that buy into his stuff, that believe it wholeheartedly. And then when they're finally getting loaded onto work trucks and they're looking around and everybody's wearing the same clothes and everybody's got a pickaxe and your payment at the end of the week isn't money. It's a box of food and laundry soap if you're lucky. Uh, at that point, it's too late. It's over at that point. ABC Patriot, thank you very much. JD 5 times. There we go. There we. Well, I don't know what the award was, but other than it sucked and I got a lot of sleep. But I appreciate that. Um, and communism will work for a while, but study the collapse of the Soviet Union. Like, just if you want to know how it ends, study the collapse of the Soviet Union. There are documentaries that are here that are on YouTube that are free. And when the Soviet Union was collapsing, these people were going into their little ration banks or buildings or whatever with their boxes. Some of them had bags, 2 bags or whatever. Excuse me. And they're just putting whatever food they had available. They're just throwing it in there. They don't care if you like it. They don't care if you got allergies. Sorry, Starbucks crowd, you're drinking cheap coffee if you're lucky enough to get any. And there's one documentary in particular here on YouTube. Now it's like 20 years old, but this old lady, poor old lady, she had a box and she went in there and she was coming out and she was crying and she was yelling and the camera was capturing it all. And she was saying they don't have any laundry soap. A bar of soap to do laundry for an entire month is what these people had been promised. And now they weren't even getting that. And that's when you knew it was over, you know? So yeah, watch it. If you're interested in how socialism works, watch a documentary on Venezuela and watch how they went from a capitalist country, one of the richest countries in the world, by the way, and just totally collapsed into a perpetual state of civil war. And at this point, they're probably going to become a communist country. I don't know if they're going to recover, but anyway, I appreciate everybody being here this morning. I've had fun. I say we do it again tomorrow, son. What do y'all say? Y'all want to do it again tomorrow? I'll try and make it happen as long as don't get rained out or something like that. All right. Y'all take care and God bless.